and this is my view from here. So it's been a minute since I've done a video. I started on this venture late last year of doing the videos. I wanted to do a video weekly, and then, the holidays hit and just craziness in life and just one thing after another. And before I know it, it's been weeks since I've done a video, okay? And but there has been something brewing in me that I've got to share. So I had to jump on and do a video. This is not going to be perfect, not even close to professional, but it's fitting because it's kind of what I want to talk about today. So thankfully, the weather is somewhat mild today where I am, and it's not freezing, so I'm able to be outside, and the sunshine is actually shining, which I could not say for weeks on end here. But it's actually shining today, and so I'm taking advantage of it and sitting out on the back deck to have this little chat with you. So I am dying to talk to you about this topic because as a mom, talking to fellow moms, as I feel like that is kind of my main audience that I gear these video towards. But I feel like this is a topic that needs to be talked about. As you can see, I really like no makeup today. I've not really done anything with my hair. Let's be honest. I'm wearing the sweatshirt that I just wear around the house. I'm not really like made up to do a video or anything like that. So if that tells you anything, that's kind of what this video is about. So it works. It would make no sense to do this video if I did try to dress a certain way or, look a certain way for this video. Let me explain. So, I am a recovering perfectionist. I have spent my entire life trying to do things perfect, planning for perfect, envisioning things perfect. Like, I'm the mom that when it's Mother's Day or Christmas or some special day that we have really just magnified in our heads that need to look a certain way. I don't know if you do this, but I do. And I have a feeling I'm not the only one. But I I have these certain days, these holidays and things that I really just they are magnified in my head to a point where I feel like they need to look a certain way. It's like Mother's Day, you think, "Oh, I'm gonna have my kids are gonna behave all day and they're just gonna make it special for me and stuff like that." Hello, Oreo. And they're gonna make it special for me, and there's not gonna be any fighting like there normally is. Yeah, right. Okay, you know as well as I do that that's not gonna happen most likely. But I just play it up in my head like this is how it's going to be because it's Mother's Day. And then I have had years in the past where I really, really had that thought and I really had that plan and that hope for that day. And then my kids end up just really acting up, or one or two of my kids end up really acting up, and I just like, you just get this mentality of like, well, so much for the perfect Mother's Day, right? And then Christmas, it's really built up as this big deal, and um you just expect it to look a certain way. You kind of like play it through your head that it's going to look this way. We're going to get up, we're going to gather around the Christmas tree, open our presents, we're going to have a wonderful day together as a family. Again, you don't envision any fighting with the kids and all of those kind of things. And you get there and it just kind of lets you down. Either someone does fight or act up, or just something doesn't go as planned. And then you're like, oh man, this is not how I pictured it. This happens to me all the time because I always get these expectations. That's a good word. Expectations in my head for how not only just holidays, it's just that those have bigger expectations for me than just a normal day. But even a normal day, I'll think, oh, you know what? I just want my life. This is how I want my life to look. We get up in the morning, the kids and I gather around on the couch, and I read to them for a while. We have our devotions and pray, and we read some books, everybody gets along, and you know, maybe we bake some cookies together. You know, you just have this thought, this whole story that plays out in your mind of how that day or how a normal day should look in your household, right? And this like dream really of how every day should look in your house. And then it never looks like that, does it? I mean, if you're lucky, maybe a couple days of the year might look like that, but let's be real. For the most part, most days do not look like that. And I end up getting let down. Like, oh, I didn't get everything done on my list today. The kids and I didn't bake anything together. They ended up fighting a couple times. You know, maybe I even got frustrated with them a couple times or whatever it is, or we ran out of time to read together. Whatever it is, your perfect plan that you had in your mind for that day ended up it, what was reality ended up looking very different than the perfect plan that was in your mind. Can anyone relate to this at all, or is this just me? Please comment and let me know if this ever happens to you, or is this just me? Is this just something that I do and struggle with? I don't know. Maybe I'm alone in this, but let me know if this is you too, so that I can know that it's not just me and I'm not alone. Um, but I and it's not just that expectations for certain days. There's other things that I'm perfectionist about, just um I do feel like I'm a perfectionist in our Airbnb business, and I feel like that's one place it's okay to be a perfectionist about, because that's why we're getting the high ratings that we're getting, is because I do want things perfect. I do look over the floor several times to make sure there's no dog hair still, in a couple places or anything. Like I want to make sure there's nothing that someone could find that they would be unhappy with or something. I want it to be perfect for our guests. And I think in that aspect, maybe that's okay. There are times when it's okay to really, really strive for perfection. But in the day to day and things like that, sometimes you need to learn to let go of that whole perfectionist mentality. One area that I've been perfectionist about is, and this is one of the things I wish I could go back and change about my life, that I've been doing this, because this is a wrong area to be perfectionist about. And I just recently have decided to stop doing this, okay? I have always wanted to host people in our home. I've always wanted to have people over for dinner and um, be a host, like regularly have people over for dinner or for whatever, some kind of event. And for years, our family, me and my husband, and then as each of our three kids came along, for years we lived in a very small house. It was only a little over 800 square feet, which this day and age, that's pretty small, especially as we became a family of five. To me, it's not too small. I actually didn't mind the size of the house. It was the size of the yard. I wanted space like this. So that is one reason, one of many reasons we are out here in the country now. But I, it, you know, by today's standards, it was small for our family size. And I used that as an excuse for years, okay? Even as we remodeled, because for a while I wasn't like, I somewhat felt ashamed for a while of the way the house looked inside. I'm really big on like interior design and making spaces look a certain way. And I, for a while, I really just didn't like how it looked. I wanted it to look a certain way before I invited people over. And then, even once over the years, we got the whole house remodeled, basically looking just great inside. Then the, I still had the thought in my head, that the lie really in my head, that we can't host. Yeah, it looks great now, but we can't host because it's not big enough. it's not big enough to have people over. Hello, Fluffy. It's not big enough to have people over. It's not big enough to have a play date. You know, oh, this friend, you know, I have to always go to their house to have play dates because they have a bigger house and they have like 5 kids, and there's no way this family with 5 kids can come over. Like, our house is small, and I can't we can't have people over for dinner. We can't fit more than just our family around the dinner table, and we can't fit another table in the kitchen. It's not big enough. And so there were always these excuses, these lies in my head that we can't host people because the house is too small. Just that's all there is to it. It's too small. And so it kept me from hosting for years. So that was one dream I had by moving out to this house. The square footage in this house is probably about double of what we had before when we lived in town. But so I thought, man, yeah, we can host more often, and it'll be bigger, so we can host. This is great. Now I have hosted in this house over the years a lot, outside in the yard. Obviously, the yard is very large, and I've even because this house. Let me explain. This house is where I grew up, and I lived here my whole childhood until I got married, and then I moved out. But my mother still lived here. My mom still lived here, and so we would still come to visit, obviously, and we still had access to it. So I would host the kids' birthday parties here because I felt our house was too small to host birthday parties. I would host bonfires out here. Obviously, we can't host bonfires in town, so um, I would host outdoor things here. And sometimes I would have birthday parties inside. Like, our second two children had fall and actually, they're both fall birthdays. So it was possibly getting colder, too cold to have something outside. So I would host their birthday parties inside. So I have hosted things out here before. So I thought, great, once we move out there, we've moved here to help out my mother who's getting older, and the hope is to eventually, hopefully, purchase the property, but we're here to help her kind of fix it up and keep maintain it, and take care of the yard and things like that, so for the time being. But we are I was thinking that the hope was to be able to host more often because it's a bigger house. And so I'm like, wow, while we're living there, we can have people over for dinner like once or twice a month maybe, and feel like we have enough space for it. And we can do that more often because it's where we will be living. So it'll be easier to host there than if we're living at the other house and trying to host something here. So I was really excited about that. Well, we've lived here. We are really getting close to our 1 year mark. Next month in March will be 1 year that we have moved since we've moved here. So, and I really haven't hosted any more than normal. I've had some church people over for a movie night, and we had an outdoor thing in the summer that we always host with church people, things like that. And so we really haven't hosted any more than normal since moving here. And I decided it was because the decor. Back to the decor thing, like that I used to have about my other house. It's back to, well, it doesn't look like how I want it to look, right? It's still technically my mom's house. We are slowly helping her change things as I learn that she actually doesn't like it. Oh, you actually don't like that paint color? Well, neither do we. Why don't we change it to something we all like? So she has just left things, furniture and paint colors and things the way they are, even though she really didn't like it. So I'm finding the things really didn't like, and I'm helping her change them little by little. So we're improving that, and we're slowly painting rooms in the house, and updating furniture and things like that. But it still is really, I'm like, well, it doesn't look how I want it to look. It's like I want it to look a certain way, the whole house, at least the parts that guests would see. I want it to look a certain way, and then I'll invite people over. The problem with that thinking is it could be a while. It could be a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. I don't even know. tenures with some things that I want to change here if we ever do change those things. You know, like we're taking it slow, and obviously right now I weigh heavily on what it is my mom wants. Since it is technically her house, we're here to help her. I'm not going to go changing a bunch of things on her and making it something she doesn't like. So we're taking it very slowly. So it could be a very long time before we get to this house to a point where I am, you know, I can invite people over and feel good about how it looks. Okay. It could be a while. And I'm like, I decided, you know what? I cannot do that anymore. I cannot use these excuses anymore. We have a bigger house now. We can host people more. I can't wait until the interior looks perfect the way I want it to look before we can host people inside. I just can't. I can't do that. Um, I have got to get past my perfectionist mentality and move forward with hosting. We will little by little make the changes, repaint the rooms that haven't been painted in, I don't even know, probably 30 years or more. I don't even know. It's they greatly need repainted every room in the house. We've already done a couple of the rooms and we're slowly going to work through the house and get them all repainted. Give it, you know, just bring some life back to the place. But I can't wait till it all looks perfect, till we have the perfect furniture, the rooms are painted perfectly, the floors are changed from the old carpet that's there now. I just can't wait till we make all these changes and update it all and make it look better completely before we say, okay, now I can host. So I really just decided, like last week or 2 weeks ago, I don't remember, recently, I decided no more am I going to use the excuses of my perfectionism. Is that a word? Perfectionism? My perfectionist mentality is no longer going to keep me from hosting people, from being hospitable. Okay? I have decided that I need to be hospitable now. I feel like God is wanting me to do it. I feel like I need to have people over for dinner more and for other events and to not be ashamed of how the house looks. It's a work in progress. And honestly, I think it's the hospitality and the warmth that people long for in being invited over and not a perfect house. People are not looking for your house to be perfect and look like a magazine inside before you invite them over. They're looking for your hospitality, your warmth, your hello, your kindness, your offering them a hot cup of tea or coffee and a snack. Just the community feel of inviting someone over. That's what they're looking for. Oh my goodness, hello. That's what they're looking for. They're not expecting your house to look perfect like a magazine. They're not. I don't expect that when I go places. So why do I think people would be expecting that from me when they come over to my house? So I'm no longer going to have that mentality. And okay, I'm no longer going to have that mentality. And I'm going to. I have given myself a goal of hosting at least one person a month this year. I have a list of goals for the year. And this year, one of my goals has become, just as of last week, I added it to my list, hosting at least one person, family, whatever, hosting someone in this home at least once a month, if not more. Even at its imperfect state, even before all the rooms are painted, even while the furniture is still really old and needs updating, all of that. I'm not going to let that stop me or bother me. I am going to invite people over. I'm going to offer them drinks and food and good company. And that's going to have to be okay for now. And even if the house isn't perfect. So, you know, and I just recently found out apparently I have the gift of hospitality. I've never seen myself as having that gift. You know, you think about the gifts you have. I've always seen myself as having the gift of encouragement, and I can't think of some of the others right now, but I've thought of a few gifts that I have, and hospitality has never been one of them. But you know what? At our Airbnb house, a guest last week wrote in the guest book, "Thank you for sharing your gift of hospitality to the world. What a blessing." That's what the comment said in the guest book. And I thought, gift of hospitality? I didn't know I had that, to be honest. I mean, the Airbnb is going well. We enjoy it. I love just setting it up for people and making it, um, look a certain way and giving them snacks and things like that and just making it as perfect as possible for them for their stay, whether it's one night or 10 nights. I just want it to be perfect for them if possible. But I never saw myself as having the gift of hospitality. And when I read that, I thought, huh. And that actually gives me a new challenge because to me, if you have a gift, you have to use it. Like, you really, I feel like there's almost an obligation to use that gift. If you have been given a gift, you have to use that gift. If God has given you a gift, you use that to bless others. So I don't only want to use that gift in our Airbnb business, I want to use that gift also in hosting people, having people over, um, you know, just to hang out and make them feel welcome. I want to use that gift in that way. So, and now I know I have to. Not only have I wanted to for a long time, and I keep feeling like there's these barriers. There are these barriers with either house size or the way my house looks. I keep feeling like I can't, like I want to. But not only do I want to, now I feel like I have to. Um, so I've challenged myself once a month to host people. I know this started out as a video talking about perfectionism, and then I went into the hosting thing. I was going to do the hosting thing as a separate video, and maybe I will talk some more about that in another video. I think I might, because I'm actually reading a couple books and listening to a podcast that are all about like hospitality and especially from the Christian perspective, hospitality and making your home welcoming. So that's part of what I wanted this channel to be. So there may be another video upcoming where I go more in depth about that. But I just wanted to spin off because this whole thing where I decided recently, just within the last week or two, I decided I want to let go of the perfectionist mentality. I am a recovering perfectionist, is how I put it. I don't want to be a perfectionist anymore. And not that doesn't mean that you don't strive for perfect or try to do your best at something. You know, you can't go the other way and just not care, obviously. But I will strive for the best. But I'm not going to let uh, unreal expectations of what my day or what a holiday or something should look like. I'm not going to let that, bother me or, just really be something that skews my view on things. And I'm not going to let the size of my house or the way my house looks affect whether I invite people over or not. So that is mainly what I came here to say. I no longer want to be a perfectionist in those aspects. Yes, strive for the best, but be okay with not hitting the mark. And don't wait for things to be perfect before you do XYZ. Don't wait for your finances to be perfect before you do this, or don't wait for your marriage to be perfect before you do this, or don't wait for whatever. Don't wait for things to be absolutely perfect before you do whatever it is that you're waiting to do because you're waiting for perfection, because it may never come or it may take a really long time. And maybe God is just wanting you to step out and do those things before, instead of waiting for circumstances to be perfect. So Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. And like I said, I hopped on here with messy hair and my sweatshirt I wear on the house and no makeup because I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to wait until I have time to look perfect and make this video perfect before I deliver this message. I've got to get this off my chest and tell people. So let this be an encouragement to you to, you know, learn the same thing in your life. Don't wait for perfection. Maybe strive for it, but don't wait for that to do important things, and especially things that God has called you to do. And wait for His timing. Yes, there is a place for waiting for His perfect timing, but not waiting for circumstances to be perfect or expecting everything to be perfect in your life, and then feeling let down every time it's not. Because trust me, I have spent a lot of time in my life feeling let down because things didn't look how I thought they should look. So you got to learn to roll with it. You got to learn to roll with the imperfections of life and things not necessarily looking like you thought. Continue striving for that, but be okay with, not only be okay with, but, embrace what you've been given. And yeah, come alongside of me in my journey of letting go of perfectionism. Perfectionism. Yeah, sure. Perfectionism. See you next time.